The house stood at the edge of town, an old Victorian relic with towering gables and ivy-choked walls. Its presence loomed over the neighborhood like a specter of another time. A place where whispers never truly faded and shadows stretched longer than they should. The locals rarely spoke of it, though everyone knew its name. It was one of those houses that had history ingrained in its very bones. A place where time seemed to stand still, where memories lingered in the air like dust caught in the light. Hannah, a college student struggling to balance coursework and finances, had taken the babysitting job on a whim. It was easy money, a few hours watching over little Clara while her parents attended their dinner parties and social events. The pay was generous, the work minimal. It was an old house, but she wasn't afraid of creaky floorboards or dimly lit hallways. Not yet, at least. Clara was an odd child, quiet, solemn, with wide, knowing eyes that seemed to peer into places unseen. She rarely spoke, her expressions carrying an eerie certainty that unsettled Hannah more than she cared to admit. When they first met, Clara had simply stared at her for a long moment before giving a small, almost imperceptible nod, as if she had already decided something about Hannah before she even spoke a word. The first night was uneventful. The house was silent, save for the occasional creak of its ancient bones settling into the earth. Clara had gone to bed without fuss, nestling beneath a quilt that seemed too old to belong to her. Hannah busied herself with a textbook in the dimly lit living room, the ticking of the grandfather clock marking the slow passage of time. Midnight approached, and she found herself growing drowsy, lulled by the silence of the house. Then came the lullaby. Soft at first, a fragile melody drifting down the stairs. Hannah barely noticed it until the words reached her ears. The tune was unfamiliar, yet strangely unsettling. A sorrowful, lilting cadence sung in a whispering voice. She strained to listen, her heartbeat quickening as she recognized Clara's voice. Setting her book aside, she climbed the stairs, pausing just outside Clara's room. The door was slightly ajar, candlelight flickering within. She peered inside to find Clara lying in bed, eyes half-lidded, lips moving in a ghostly chant. The words sent a shiver through Hannah's spine. The child's voice barely carried beyond the room, but it wrapped itself around her like an invisible thread, pulling her closer. Hannah stepped inside, careful not to disturb her, and pulled the covers up over her small form. Clara sighed contentedly, her song fading into murmurs. As she left the room, Hannah tried to dismiss the unease curling in her gut. Perhaps it was some old nursery rhyme she had never heard before. Children had a way of picking up odd little songs from who knew where. Still, as she descended the stairs, the melody echoed in her mind, an unshakable presence in the quiet of the night. The second night, the lullaby returned. This time, Hannah paid closer attention. She typed the lyrics into her phone, expecting nothing but obscure results. Yet what she found turned her stomach. The words traced back to an old folk tale, one tied to this very house. A mother, grief-stricken and alone, had lost her child to a fire decades ago. It was said she wandered the halls long after death, singing her child to sleep, hoping one day to bring them back. Hannah swallowed hard. It was just a coincidence, wasn't it? Clara stirred in her sleep, her voice carrying the tune once more, each note sinking into Hannah's bones like ice water. The house creaked as if responding to the song, an unsettling groan through the floorboards. Hannah turned off the baby monitor, not wanting to hear anymore. The third night, Hannah made a mistake. She stayed late. Clara's parents had been delayed, and Hannah, already uneasy, kept checking the time. Midnight came and went. The house was unnervingly silent. Even Clara had ceased her lullaby. Then, from the baby monitor, a whisper, a second voice. Hannah's breath hitched. It was not Clara's. It was older, raspier, soaked in sorrow. The lullaby returned, now in two tones, twining together in an unnatural harmony. The melody warped into something else, something Hannah couldn't comprehend, as if the house itself had begun to hum along. A soft creak echoed down the hallway. Clara's door was open. Hannah moved with slow, trembling steps. Inside, the candle still burned, its light flickering against the walls. Clara sat upright in bed, her gaze locked on the far corner of the room. Hannah followed her eyes. There, in the darkness, stood a figure, a woman, barely more than a silhouette, her form wavering as if caught between two worlds. Her face was hidden beneath strands of long, brittle hair. Her arms reached out, beckoning. The air in the room turned thick, oppressive. Shadows stretched unnaturally across the walls, bending toward the woman like moths drawn to a flame. Hannah lunged for Clara, scooping her up in shaking arms. The girl clung to her, but she did not cry, did not scream. The weight of something unseen pressed against Hannah's chest, suffocating her as she staggered back. The woman stepped forward, her presence growing stronger, the room darkening around her. The candle flickered once, then died. Hannah ran, down the hall, down the stairs, heart hammering against her ribs. Clara's small hands clung to her, as the lullaby chased them through the house, soft yet insistent. By the time she reached the front door, Clara's parents had arrived. Their laughter died the moment they saw Hannah's pale face and the trembling child in her arms. She couldn't explain it. The words caught in her throat, lost in the weight of what she had seen. Scene 10. Clara's mother reached for her daughter, holding her close, but Clara's gaze remained fixed on the top of the stairs. Hannah turned back. The hallway was empty. The door to Clara's room was shut. Yet, just before it closed completely, a whisper slipped through the silence, curling through the air like smoke. "Sleep tight, my darling." But the story does not end there. The melody never truly left Hannah's mind, nor did the feeling of unseen eyes watching her, even long after she had quit the babysitting job. The lullaby would return in her dreams, always sung by two voices. And in the silence of the night, when the wind carried a distant whisper, she swore she could still hear it, soft, sorrowful, beckoning. "Come inside,